What's up, and welcome back to Interpreting the Stars, where today we're bringing it back to our Christopher Nolan preparation marathon with Nolan's second film, Memento. Before you ask, I will not be talking about certain films in his filmography, like Insomnia, for instance, because I'm only looking at the films he acted as writer-director. Anyways, Memento is his second film, and it not only stands out as much better than Following, but it's often referred to as one of Nolan's best works, if not best, just because of how different and truly original and genius it is, something you can say about a lot of his stuff, so I may feel this way and I may not. Either way, let's watch this film about a broken engram and let's get cracking. This review is brought to you by the word of the day, engram, a hypothetical permanent change in the brain accounting for the existence of memory, aka a memory trace, aka, the whole movie. Memento is about a man unable to create new memories. Every few minutes, things begin to blur, and he has to start from scratch again. Even so, he needs to find his wife's killer and put an end to him. To do that, he enlists the help from photographs that he's taken in the past with elusive and broad notes that can mean anything, as well as people that he meets on a day-by-day basis that may possibly be out to take advantage of him and manipulate his actions. This film is a perfect example as to Nolan's brilliance. So is Inception, but Memento shouldn't be disregarded. There's a lot of thought put into how this movie works in general, and is absolutely nuts as to the attention to detail, because if you didn't already know it, Memento is famous for its out-of-sequence storytelling, or more specifically, it's a story told in reverse. Which that on its own, I gotta hand it to Nolan. How you make a backwards narrative still work as a forwards narrative? I got no idea, but bravo, it actually really makes me pumped for Tenet, because Tenet is the same forwards and backwards, and I'm guessing that's not a coincidence. Nolan is usually pretty good at crafting worlds with mirroring themes in one way or another. Once upon a time, I didn't like how this film decided to tell its story. Other than being artsy-fartsy, I didn't understand why the story had to be told in reverse. Now I do. The whole point of it was to purposefully mislead the audience and make them as confused as our main character. It's always heading in a natural progression, of course, but every time a scene shows up, you're as disoriented as Guy Pearce is in this film. And then, the more the scene plays out, the more you understand how it connects with the last scene, which took place after this scene. It's hard to explain. You really honestly just have to watch it for yourself. But it's beautiful. It really is. Nobody can make a movie like Christopher Nolan. A part of what makes this film so good is the mystery. Because other than just being a typical mystery of trying to find out his wife's killer, it's a mystery with each scene as to how it connects to everything else. Every 5 to 10 minutes, you'll find yourself going from complete confusion to saying, okay, that's pretty awesome. And I've seen this quite a few times at this point, and yet there's still things that I forgot about what happened or what role that some of these characters were actually playing, because it's not always evidently clear, but there's always a few moving parts to what this film is doing as a whole. This is an enigmatic film, and I can't not praise it. There was literally nothing inherently bad about it. Nothing about it stood out as terrible. Not one thing. There's just a few areas that could have technically been improved, like the stuff going on behind the scenes. I don't think there's a lot of technical marvels with how the film was shot from a cinematography perspective, and nothing about the visuals do I really think was unforgettable. Nothing with the lighting, color, costume, hair, makeup, none of that stands out. Same with the music and the sound. A lot of these elements are mostly standard, surprisingly enough. You'd think that they'd be better, given how, well, everything else in the movie stands out as great, but it really doesn't. And as much as I really like the narrative arc, I think it's also kind of weird. Either you think it has an introduction and no real inciting incident, or you think it has a great inciting incident and no introduction, just because of how strange this film is put together. You can see the introduction as the beginning of the film, introducing you to the character and his affliction, getting you acquainted with the world. But at that point, there's no inciting incident because it happens later in the film, because it's in reverse. You can also see the beginning of the film as throwing you into a crazy scenario, which the jarring, strange nature of the film can be seen as a starting off point, an inciting incident, but that also means that there's no introduction. It's weird. You don't run into many of these films. So in general, this is a great film, and one that is easily seen as one of Christopher Nolan's best works. It is original, it is unique, it is a mystery wrapped inside of a mystery, and it's the type of film that benefits from literally watching it twice in a row, which is crazy good. Let's take a look at the final score. From an unbiased perspective, the writing of this film is insanely smart. They had such an insane attention to detail, but the visuals, cinematography, music, and sound were all pretty standard stuff, and you do expect more from that. So that unbiased score is 80%. However, this is a mind-bending flick that gets better every time that you watch it, just based on how absolutely insane it is. There are layers upon layers of depth to what's actually going on, and the editing is unmatched. So my bias score is nearly perfect at 98%. When we average these two scores together, we come to a final score of 89%. 89 out of 100 possible stars, granting Memento with a letter grade of B+. Again, that's a lot lower than how I personally feel about it. It really just comes down to technical areas that aren't as good as they technically could have been, unfortunately. But I'd like to hear your thoughts when it comes down to this film. Does it blow your mind? Did you predict the ending? Let me know below. As for YouTube, you know what to do. Hit the subscribe button if you like this review, because there's more like it coming out. Hit the thumbs up button, because that always helps out my channel. And don't forget about the little bell icon, because that helps notify you when I come out with my next review. And until then, peace out.